Hey everybody, back for another retro review, and this time this is my solo narration and webcam review of the video game series Mortal Kombat 3. This is every game in the Mortal Kombat 3 series. That's Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and of course Mortal Ultimate Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which was emulated version of the PC version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy and the Sega Genesis port of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And this Mortal Kombat game contained every character who ever appeared in Mortal Kombat, from Mortal Kombat 1 all the way up until Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. Even hidden non-playable characters were playable in this game. In the webcam portion of this review, of course, I'm going to talk about the characters, the stories, what I loved about the game, and what I didn't like about the game. Alright, get ready for the webcam portion. Coming next. Hey everybody, this is the webcam portion of my solo review of the entire Mortal Kombat 3 series. And like I've said in previous videos, this is where I came into the Mortal Kombat franchise. The first game I played was Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Then of course I played Mortal Kombat 3 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 at a local arcade close to me, and on the Sega Genesis, and on the consoles, the Sega Genesis and the N64, NES64, and other platformers like the Game Boy version, which wasn't good, but I also enjoyed. And of course, just recently, I got to play the Super Nintendo version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and of course the PlayStation version for Mortal Kombat Trilogy, because at the time when I wanted Mortal Kombat Trilogy, I didn't have an N64 yet, so I got the PlayStation version, which is widely considered the superior version. And of course, after beating the PlayStation version, I wanted to give a I wanted to give Mortal Kombat 3, which was much harder, Mortal Kombat 3 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which were much harder. I wanted to give them a shot. I let someone borrow my Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I let someone borrow my Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, so I let a friend, so I traded my Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the original Mortal Kombat 3, which I still have in one of these video game cases right here today, and I still play it today. But that's where I got into the Mortal Kombat, and playing these games at the arcade and on the consoles was a lot of fun. In my opinion, the arcade version, in my opinion, is the best version the with the Nintendo versions and the PlayStation versions, in my opinion, being the best versions of Mortal Kombat, because they were the closest to the arcade. None of these games truly ever replicated the awesomeness of the arcade. Had all the content the arcade had, but the Super Nintendo and PlayStation versions were the best. But I like all versions. I like all versions of the Mortal Kombat 3 series. 3 series. I consider them all one series, which is why they're grouped together in this review instead of being separate. I consider, that's why I call it the Mortal Kombat 3 series. I don't consider Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and of course Mortal Kombat Trilogy new games. I just consider them final updates to the original Mortal Kombat 3 before Midway took a break and of course decided to do something new, and that was cross over into the 3D realm for, of course, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, which was a 2D style action platformer, but it had 3D graphics mixed with live action cutscenes. And of course, then you have Mortal Kombat 4, which was fully rendered in motion capture 3D technology. So that's what I consider Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which Mortal Kombat Trilogy kind of gets criticized by people, especially in 64 version, for not having all the content the PlayStation version had, for just being a rehash of Mortal Kombat 3. But like I said, I don't consider those new games. Um, let's start off with the original Mortal Kombat 3. The original Mortal Kombat 3. The original Mortal Kombat 3, and now Mortal Kombat, now unlike everyone else, Mortal Kombat 3 of the in my opinion is one of the best Mortal Kombat games, and in my opinion is the best Mortal Kombat game of the 2D era of Mortal Kombat Mortal Kombat. The various 3D games kind of blow this one out of water. However, I do think, like I said, I do think it's better than the current Mortal Kombat. Now that was 2011 from a couple of years ago, and of course Mortal Kombat X just recently. I think Mortal Kombat 3 is much better than those games. But this game, when it first came out, was criticized by a lot of people for the inclusion of new characters: Nightwolf, Striker, Cabal, Sindel, and the Cybernetic Ninjas in place of established characters like Scorpion and the Ninja characters, Baraka and Raiden, and of course Johnny Cage. As a child, I always thought that was weird. How in the first version of Mortal Kombat, in the two versions I played, because Trilogy wasn't on the Sega Genesis, so the two versions I played, Mortal Kombat 3 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, I always thought it was weird how those characters weren't in the game. But I quickly got over that after seeing the movie Mortal Kombat Annihilation, which depicted, well, all of those Baraka, um, Raiden, and of course Johnny Cage dying, and of course Reptile, well, something like him returned in Mortal Kombat Annihilation and was defeated by Raiden, and of course he died. Reptile died in Mortal Kombat 1. So I quickly got over that. I quickly got over those characters not being included. Now, and I always thought Cabal, Striker, and Nightwolf and Sindel and the Cybernetic Ninjas were awesome. Couldn't think of it. Whenever I think Mortal Kombat 3, even though of course Liu Kang is ultimately the main character of Mortal Kombat 3, when I think Mortal Kombat 3, I think Striker, Cabal, and Nightwolf and the Cybernetic Ninjas and Sindel. These are the characters that come to mind when I think Mortal Kombat 3, and these are the characters I play as the most and kick the most butt with. Kick the most butt with. Um, Kick the most butt with. The gameplay. Let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay. The gameplay. Since this storyline of Mortal Kombat is an all-out war between the realm of Earth and Outworld, and it's no longer a tournament. This video game has this game has faster and much more intense gameplay than the last two. They've added a run button. They've added a run button and killer combos just like in Killer Instinct. Killer combos just like in Killer Instinct, and of course even more violence, a darker tone, more Western eerie music versus the Oriental flavor of the first two Mortal Kombat's, more Western music, and of course they still have some of the fantasy stages from. They still have some of the fantasy stages, some fantasy stages like the place where the soul regeneration chamber, the tower where you fight Motaro, Shao Kahn's the bridge, the third place, the Shao Kahn's bridge, the third the pit 3, which is Shao Kahn's stage, and of course but they mostly have cities, graveyards, armories, banks, bridges, and stuff like that. And I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool, the cool modern look versus the Oriental look of the first two games, and of course another thing I liked. They don't look good now, but I love the inclusion of animalities, which I always thought if they ever adapted Mortal Kombat for any other form of media, The animality would be a cool plot device. Would be a cool plot device. Characters transforming into animals to finish off to fight their opponents. That would be really cool. Even though, like I said, the fatality actually none of the fatalities really look all that good today. They all look incredibly fake and just cartoonish and over the top and goofy nowadays. But they were scary back in '96. Back in '96 when I saw these fatalities. When I saw these fatalities and talking more about the gameplay. Like I said, I love all the characters. I like all the characters in the game. With my least favorites, believe it or not, being in this game being Kano, Kung Lao, and even one of my all-time favorite characters in Mortal Kombat, Liu Kang. Those three characters have some of the worst combos ever. They have some of the worst combos ever, and not only they're hard to pull off, they don't look that good, and even though Liu Kang and Kung Lao are supposed to be two like main characters of the game, they're extremely weak. You got to be able to play it. You got to be like me. You got to be able to play as them because they are fast. One of the highlights, they are faster than the other characters. They are quick, much quicker than the other characters, but they are so damn weak in comparison to the other characters, despite being the main characters of the game. It's Liu Kang who, in the storylines, canon beats Shao Kahn, So how is he so damn weak? How is he so damn weak and so damn weak? Um, weak. So that's the only thing I don't like about that's why those three are my least favorite characters. Like I said, like all the characters with Sub Zero, Cabal, Striker, Nightwolf, Sindel being the characters, and Jax being the characters I play as the most. Love the cybernetic ninjas. However, since they're bad guys, I like fighting them more than playing as them. I like fighting them more playing as them, but they're awesome to play as, which with of course Smoke, probably being my favorite of the cyborg ninjas to play as. Cyborg ninjas to play as, even though all three of them are cool and unique in their own way. But what's his name, man? I also love Sonya in this game, who, in comparison to her Mortal Kombat 1 appearance, is another top character. Is a top tier character, and her signature maneuvers are much easier to do in this video game. In this video game, um, so that's the gameplay. Next, of course, the graphics. Graphics look great. This game is, for the most part, this game is actually held up graphic wise, has held up well in comparison to a lot of other fighting games released during that era. It's not until you see the awesome but dated fighting game system, and of course various modern video games that were released the after Mortal Kombat 3, where the game starts to show its age. But graphic wise, this game is held up real really well. Like I said, I love the various new actors portraying the characters. I love the various new actors portraying the characters and the new character designs, including Sub-Zero's suspenders, the unmasked Sub-Zero with the suspenders and the scar. I think that's Sub-Zero's. I love all his looks, but I think that's, if I had to choose, that's probably the best look he's ever had. That's the best look he's ever had. Best look he's ever had. His other look, which is his brother's costume, is cool, but that's too much like the original Sub-Zero. I like how in this game they separated him, made him look different, made him look different. So I love Sub-Zero's new design. This is the video game where Jax debuted his cybernetic arms. In his first appearance, he had powerful wristbands. He had wristbands on his arm, which are used to throw the purple energy attacks. Here he has metallic arms, just like Cyborg from DC, and he's pretty much the Cyborg of this universe, and he's gained moves like the dash punch, which is pretty cool. Dash punch is pretty cool, and it's pretty easier. It's pretty easy. And he's a top tier character. It's pretty easy to play as this time around than he was in the last game. than he was in the last game. Where his one of my favorite moves in Mortal Kombat 2 was his purple sonic boom type maneuver. His purple sonic boom type maneuver here is replaced with a flaming with a fireball, with a generic fireball. But it's like I said, his moves here are much easier to use than in the last of your game. And his combos are easier to his kick combos are easy to pull off. So Jax's new move, you have Night Wolf with his spiritual arrows and his cool axe axe. He can do two. He can do a green one, a red one, and he also has Shao Kahn's move, the tackle, which I also thought was pretty cool. And I don't know how to do it, but he has a chain combo where he does a combo, then finish it with a signature maneuver. I think he's one of the only characters who actually does that, who actually has a combo that finishes with a signature move, and he has a cool kick combo which he shares with other characters like Striker and Jax and the Cybernetic Ninjas. Um, Cybernetic Ninjas. Then of course Striker, the Riot Patrol gear. I've always loved Striker. A lot of people, he was of all the new characters, he was criticized the most of the new characters. I've always loved Striker. I've always loved Striker with the nightstick. I've always loved Striker with the Riot Patrol gear. That's my favorite form of police officers, the Riot Patrol police officers who dress like the characters in one of my all-time favorite movies, Mad Max, who wear the Mad Max gear. Um, and Striker was once again another top tier character. Despite having no powers, he's like physically one of the strongest characters in the video game. Strongest characters in the video game. He has his awesome bomb. He has his awesome bombs. His cool nightstick maneuvers. His cool combos. First, he has the kick combo, which he shares with Night Wolf. Then, of course, he has a combo with a what's his name. And then he has an incredibly funny. He probably has the best fatality in the game. He has a funny fatality where he puts a group of bombs on you. Then he goes over there and does that. He goes over there, puts the thing in his ears, and then you explode. He has probably the funniest fatality in the video game. And then of course, in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and every other future game, they made his gun usable, which I also like. His gun. So yeah, Striker is awesome. Then of course Sindel, another top of tier character. She has the blue energy attacks. Then her voice is a weapon. She can scream, which disables the person's defenses and draws her closer to him, setting them up to be. Then she has a cool kick combo which she shares with the other characters. Then a cool punch combo which ends with an uppercut. That's real easy to do, and it's just easier to play as. And like I said, I love her design. I can't describe how awesome it is. I can't describe how awesome her character design was. And yeah, Shang Tsung's his new design is pretty cool. He's portrayed by John Turk, who also portrayed Sub-Zero and the ninja characters in the follow-up Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And of course, you got the Cybernetic Ninjas. You got Smoke with his he has a spear just like Scorpion, and he has the teleport punch, which he shares with Sector, and he can disappear, and he can use invisibility just like Reptile, The others, the only problem I have with Smoke is after playing the 2011 version, that since he can control particle matter, why didn't they give him that in the old video games? Why didn't they give him that in the older Mortal Kombat games? But then of course but combos are easier to use, and it's another top tier character, who's really awesome. He shares the teleport punch with Smoke. He has missiles, which I've always thought was cool. He has one of the best fatalities ever, where a thing comes out of him that he smushes, which smushes the person. A giant contraption comes out of him, which crushes the person. And of course yeah, yeah, that's it for Sector. The only thing I hate is that one thing I did like about 2011 was Sector, um his they made his flames, he has a move where he can shoot a flame. Why wasn't that included in Mortal Kombat 3? Um, Now then you got Cyrax, who has one of the best body slams ever. Victor and Smoke have a generic judo throw. Cyrax has this teleport body slam he does on people, which I've always thought was cool. Then he shares the same combos with Smoke and Sector. He has the cool energy net. Then of course, as his fatality, he has one of the most funniest fatalities ever. I think Smoke has this too, where he throws out a lot of bombs, and these bombs, the a lot of nuclear bombs, and together when these bombs go off, they destroy the Earth, they destroy everything, and it says in space fatality. I've always thought that was awesome. Then of course he has a cool teleport move where he can break apart. He can disassemble, then reassemble on the other side of the screen, which I thought was awesome and bizarre at the time when I saw it. Um, then of course continuing with the gameplay, you have three tournament ladders this time around. You got three tournament ladders. You got novice, warrior, and master. Then of course in then of course story the storyline for this game. Like I said, the storyline, in my opinion, this was the best story for the 3D era of Mortal Kombat. Shao Kahn, fed up with numerous losses in Mortal Kombat, decides to seize Earth Realm by force by having his priests, led by Shang Tsung, resurrect Sindel in Earth Realm so he can um break the barrier and invade Earth Realm and reclaim his queen. So now, and by doing this, Outworld becomes merged with Earthrealm, which strips the entire population of their souls except for Raiden's chosen warriors, and the only way to restore them to normal is to repel Shao Kahn is to defeat Shao Kahn's extermination squads, and finally Shao Kahn himself to turn everything back to turn everything back to normal, back to back to normal. While all the characters have their own reason for participating in the Outworld invasion, in the in the Outworld invasion, in the Outworld invasion, the story mostly revolves around Liu Kang. But there are several subplots in the game. There are several subplots in the game, such as of course the Lin Kuei decide to automate their ninjas. Smoke and Sub Zero refuse and escape. Smoke is captured and automated and forced to hunt down his best friend Sub Zero, and Sub Zero, along with joining the fight with Raiden's warriors, also with Raiden's chosen warriors, also wishes to uncover the is to bring Smoke back to normal. You got Jax, who in the last game entered the Mortal Kombat tournament to rescue Sonya. He rescues Sonya, but by rescuing Sonya, he also frees Kano, who escapes into the depths of Outworld and joins Shao Kahn's extermination squads. Jax and Sonya return to Earthrealm to convince their government of the upcoming invasion. The government doesn't believe them, and they instead prepare for battle. Nightwolf has had visions of this of this day coming, and his land, his where he is a his land is considered a threat to Shao Kahn's plans. It's something like that. Wikipedia says it better. Don't remember very well. And Upon seeing these visions, joins Raiden in the fight against Outworld. Striker, he is the only person to survive New York City, and he wonders why he is spared, but he receives a vision from Raiden, and from there he joins Raiden's team. He joins Raiden's team. Cabal gets horribly scarred by Shao Kahn's extermination squads and swears vengeance against Kano and the Black Dragon and reforms and joins Earth's Earth's warriors. Earth's warriors. Cyrax and Sector, of course, are along with Smoker supposed to hunt down Sub-Zero, and of course Shao Kahn resurrected Kitana's mother, Sindel. Kitana's mother, Kitana's mother, Sindel. So like I said, awesome storyline. The only thing I hate is that I wish they would have came up with some kind of format to link all the to link all the character story into one giant picture to give you more of a reason to play through those long hardcore tournament ladders, because you, unless you're like myself, a huge Mortal Kombat fan, you probably wouldn't sit there and be playing all those tournament ladders when there's really nothing in the end except for a cutscene or two. So that's the only thing I don't like. Love the tournament ladders though. You fight the various normal characters, then the boss battles, Motaro and Shao Kahn. I remember as a kid, first off, I can never make it to Shao Kahn and Motaro. The fourth and fifth opponents would always be extremely hard. Then when I would make it to Motaro or Shao Kahn, I couldn't defeat either one of them. It wasn't until Mortal Kombat 4 where I learned how to play Mortal Kombat. Where I learned how to play Mortal Kombat, was able to apply the skills I learned in Mortal Kombat 4 and go back to the old Mortal Kombat. Now I can at least make it to Motaro and Shao Kahn before losing it. Sometimes I beat them and sometimes I don't. In Trilogy I always win because there was always unlimited continues. But in Ultimate Number 3 is pretty damn hard. It's pretty damn hard. And but like I said, I like the tournament ladders. Then it, like I said, ends with a awesome boss battle from Motaro and Shao Kahn. Another thing I loved about this game was that video game right here, is somewhere right here. I don't know where it is right now. Hold on. Found it. This video game was the inspiration for one of my all-time favorite films, and that was the 1997 sequel to the original Mortal Kombat film, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And when I play this game and watch this movie and see how true this movie changed a lot of things, but how true and how close it was to the video game, it makes me appreciate and enjoy this movie and this video game even more. I'm surprised the movie was able to actually stay as close as possible to Mortal Kombat Annihilation as they could. You know, most adaptations of today stay completely away from the source material. This right here is almost a blueprint copy, an extract duplicate of the video game. So that's another reason I love Mortal Kombat 3. And inspired one of my all-time favorite movies. And I love both Mortal Kombat 1995 and this. But if you force me to choose, I like Annihilation more. And it also inspired another favorite thing of mine. It also inspired the Mortal Kombat Defenders of the Realm cartoon, which I also love, and I still hate the fact that show was canceled. But Defenders of the Realm was a sequel to the original Mortal Kombat film, but it used storylines and the character designs of Mortal Kombat 3, which I thought was pretty cool. This was the original Mortal Kombat 3. There were two updates. There were, of course, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and Trilogy. these really weren't much different. They just Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 added Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 added a couple of stages. They added a couple of stages and they brought back the ninja characters and added two ninja characters, and that was Rain, and of course that was Rain and Ermac, with Noob Saibot returning in this game with his own signature maneuvers. He first made his first appearance as a non-playable hidden character in Mortal Kombat 2 with Scorpion's moves. Here he makes his debut with his own various with his own various with his cool shadow moves, and is a top of tier character. Also making his return of Scorpion and Reptile, and the human form of Smoke, which you can play as via cheat code. The human form of Smoke. Um, the human form of Smoke. This game also, I always thought this was weird, and I always didn't like this. This game also omitted Shiva from the last game, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, who also I like fighting. I like playing as Shiva, but I like fighting Shiva more because she's one of the bad guys. She's one of the bad guys. But Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 was an awesome update. Like I said, I don't consider it a new game. I don't consider it a new game, and I think the arcade port was the best port of Mortal Kombat 3. The only thing I don't like about Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and this is actually all the console versions of Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal Kombat 3 is they got rid of the storyline images in the beginning. In the beginning, they have various and replaced it with and replaced it with and replaced it with well, if you play and replaced it with just normal writing text. They kept the character biographies. They kept the character biographies, but they got rid of the storyline images, which shows Shao Kahn and Shang Tsung and his priests resurrecting Sindel, Shao Kahn invading Earthrealm and stripping all the warriors of their souls, and of course sending Motaro and his extermination squads to kill the remaining Earthrealm warriors. And of course the cybernetic ninjas hunting down Sub-Zero, and of course Kano escaping Jackson, Kano escaping Jackson and Sonya. So they got rid of the storyline images and just replaced them with text. They had to do that for cartridge restraints, time constraints. So I didn't like that. They got rid of the story mode parts. This game, other than adding a couple of things, they really didn't improve much from the last one, like such as how about you connect each story into one, connect each story into one. Then another thing, as a kid I liked this, now I really don't, and that was the inclusion of the elder Sub-Zero. I love this as a kid. I love this as a kid because I never liked him dying in the original Mortal Kombat. So I always loved the idea of him somehow coming back. Him coming back in this video game. In his video game, his appearance here is non-canon, and when you get to Mortal Kombat 6 Deception, you learn that he was Noob Saibot. So if Noob Saibot is in this game, why is he in the game? Why is he in the game? Then, unlike Noob Saibot, this Sub-Zero still plays like his Mortal Kombat 1 Sub-Zero. His combos are pretty lame. And are hard to do. And he's, unless you know how to play him, he's physically weaker than the other characters, unless you're playing as him, unless you're playing against him. When you play against him, he's actually pretty hard to beat. But he's like a deformed version of he's like a lesser version of all the other ninja characters in the game, because he never evolved, because this is based on his Mortal Kombat 1 persona with a different skin, with just a different skin, a different actor, a different actor. And like I said, his appearance here is non-canon. Then in the Trilogy version, well, I'll get to this when I get to Trilogy. I'll talk about that when I get to Trilogy. But like I said, this was an awesome game, and this game has 4 tournament ladders. And instead of this game has 4 tournament ladders, and the last video game had a red portal stage. This one has a blue portal stage. With other and This one has four tournament ladders. You have a novice, warrior, master, and another master, and another master mode, and another master mode. And the tournament ladders, they brought back the endurance fight from Mortal Kombat 1, which I thought was pretty cool. Which I thought was pretty cool. And this video game is both harder and easier at the same time. Motaro is much easier to beat in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, but since you have an endurance fight this time around, that makes the gameplay kind of a little bit much harder than the last one. Even though Motaro is much easier to beat in this game, I also like the fact that you can fight Motaro in multiple levels. Mostly the roof with the statues on it, which was also a pretty cool level in the original Mortal Kombat 3 game. In the original Mortal Kombat 3 game, you could only fight him in the palace. In the palace. This game also added another signature move I love was the brutalities. When it's time to finish your opponent, you can pull off a killer combo, where you beat the person literally to death, to the point you beat him to the point he dies. It's fake and unrealistic now, but it was scary and awesome back in 96. Next is Mortal Kombat. Oh yeah, another thing I didn't like is when you beat the game, instead of just getting what I want, and that's the ending. You get you unlock Shao Kahn's treasure, where you get to choose between several different combat codes, and most of them are bonus rounds, a highlight reel of fatalities, or one where you get to play Galaga. I thought this was lame. I always wonder as a kid, since I couldn't beat Mortal Kombat, what do you get when you actually beat the game? Do you get hidden characters, more characters, anything else? Apart from the cutscene, the only thing good. Nothing, nothing. So yeah, lame. That was the only thing disappointing about finally beating these games. Was you really got nothing for beating these games. Um, then of course there was the oh yeah, this game also not only did bring back the male ninjas, it also brought back the female ninjas, and of course that was the female ninjas, and that was Kitana Melina, a new character named Jade, and a new character named Jade. Hated Jade in this game. I hated Jade in this game. Melina's cool, but I like fighting her as more because she's a bad guy. And Kitana, I like her signature maneuvers, but I do not like Kitana in the 2D era of Mortal Kombat's. In Mortal Kombat 3, she's so weak and her combos are lame in comparison to all the other characters. Kitana, story wise, I like Kitana, one of my all-time favorite female characters, but gameplay wise, I do not like Kitana in this video game. Video game. So yeah, the last one was Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which this was just an anniversary game before this was just the final Mortal Kombat game before they did something new, of course, which is when they crossed over into the realm of 3D. Um, this was where I actually got my start. Officially got my start in the series. I played Mortal Kombat Trilogy, then the other two Mortal Kombat, then the two previous updates to this game, and the two previous updates, Mortal Kombat and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. But this game was awesome. I love Johnny Cage's new actor and his new character design, Chris Alexander. I love the addition on the PlayStation version. You got to play as the classic versions of Kano, Raiden, Kung Lao, and Jax, and Jax. This game, the PlayStation version, which had the most content, also had the four boss characters playable: Goro, Kentaro, Motaro, and Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn. Um, Shao Kahn. Then of course, this game added a cool new aggressor meter. Don't know much about that. And this game added two hidden characters for the PlayStation version. You had a rainbow ninja called Chameleon, who was pretty much all the ninja characters mixed together. And then you had then the PlayStation, then the Nintendo 64 version had a female chameleon, who belonged to storyline belonged to Reptile's race, who was a gray ninja, and she was all the female ninjas together. Then of course, in the PlayStation version, there was one cool code where you can have easy fatalities, which I thought was pretty cool. Easy fatalities, easy fatalities, and easy fatalities, and yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, it didn't improve much from the first one, but this was, I like I said, I don't really consider either Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or Mortal Kombat Trilogy a new game. The only thing I would have liked, once again, would have liked them to improve was connect all the storylines into one. I love how they brought back every Mortal Kombat character, dead or alive, canon or non-canon, final, into one final game. Also, this game also had the stages for Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. So I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cool too. Then, of course, in 2013, they made an emulated version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy called Ultimate Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which was pretty much the PC version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy and the Sega Genesis port of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 in one game. Where this game right here was awesome. Was awesome. This game had every character who had ever appeared in Mortal Kombat, from Mortal Kombat 1 all the way up to Mythology Sub-Zero. They had the Mythology Sub-Zero. They had the Shaolin monks from the first level of Mythology Sub-Zero, Quan Chi, and of course Shinnok, who were boss characters in that game. This game also had the nine the hidden the hidden characters from Mortal Kombat 2 playable. That's Smoke, Jade, and Noob Saibot. This game also had all eras of Johnny Cage. You had Daniel Pesina from Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, and of course Chris Alexander from Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and the boss characters were playable, and the tournament ladders were harder than ever because you could face a boss character or an endurance match as one of your first opponents or one of your earliest opponents, or sometime in some tournament ladders, you fight a boss character twice. You fight Shao Kahn, Motaro, then Shao Kahn again. Like I said, what's his name? Also, combos and stuff here were much easier, and this was just a really fun game to play. The game is hard because you don't get much continuity. You don't get much continuity. So if you lose a couple of numbers of times, yeah, game over. Game over. I thought it was really cool how they made an emulated version of the original Mortal Kombat trilogy, and like I said, it follows the same story as the original Mortal Kombat 3, just with the other Mortal Kombat characters' stories here intact. Yeah, so this concludes my review of Mortal Kombat 3. My opinion, like all the Mortal Kombat's, Mortal Kombat 1 through 8 are my favorites. I hate 2011 and X, and I think Mortal Kombat 3 through 8 were the best games, and Mortal Kombat 3 was the best of the 3D era of Mortal Kombat. Of Mortal Kombat, I'm gonna do Mortal Kombat 4, 1, and 2 next. All right, I'm done.